So 2025 continues, and preparation doesn't just mean the threat from like physical humans or anything like that. I think you also got to prep yourself to have to take care of yourself instead of relying upon the government. What do I mean by that? The first recorded H5N1 bird flu death has been recorded in the United States. So the Louisiana Department of Education reported that the person who was admitted to the hospital, who was the first U.S. case of the avian flu, influenza virus or H5N1 virus, has now died. Not only the first person in the United States, but the first person in Louisiana. Hence, why they have the story. And we'll talk about why that's important because it's the first case of the H5N1 bird flu death. Also, Trump is on his speeding his way towards inauguration. And these seem to be unrelated, but they're not really because we may be headed towards the opportunity for Trump to be in charge of another pandemic. Whatever your opinion about how he handled the first one, I particularly still believe on relying on the government to give me true information whenever they feel like it, not necessarily always giving it to me straight, always giving it to me how I need to know it. So, the case in Louisiana, the Louisiana Department of Health reports that the person was over the age of 65. The person also had underlying health conditions that are related to the reason why he or she died. So listen, it's a lot of things that kind of explain why that person may have died, but it's not just that surface level simple that we need to worry ourselves about. So the facts are that they don't pinpoint the age of the person. I don't even think they pinpoint whether the sex of the person. And the biggest thing is the reason that the person got sick is that they had contact with a combination of non-commercial backyard flocks and wild birds. What does that mean? I don't know. They're not giving us more information. Was the person feeding birds? Did he get attacked by birds or she get attacked by birds? And those are things that I want to know, like kind of how to protect myself directly from the animals themselves. So the risk to the public health still remains relatively low. So I'm not trying to be an alarmist. I'm just trying to present something that a lot of people are not talking about. And I want to get that out the way. The risk to the public still remains incredibly low. They give some pointers on how to avoid transmitting the disease itself. One way is to avoid contact with birds, poultry, cows, livestock in general. That might be hard to do if you work with those animals. I mean, if you work in that field, but for recreational purposes, maybe you can decrease the interaction that you have with birds and poultry and livestock, avoid touching their droppings, avoid handling dead versions of all the things I just mentioned as well. This is also going to include keeping your pets away from those dead animals, from the droppings of those animals. Now, a few things that the Louisiana Department of Health also recommends, which is the science is still being researched on that more, is fully cooking your food products. So making sure that you're not eating, so like cooking poultry, cooking eggs, animals, making sure they get to the proper temperature, avoiding cross contamination. Where's the science on that? I'm not really sure. They're just giving you the recommendation for it. I'll take that. I'm not sure if a runny oak yolk is going to make you get it or not, but I'm not about to bang back some runny yolks. That's just not for me. Now, here's the thing. There is very, very, very little evidence of person to person transmission of the H5N1 virus. It's extremely rare. The reason I'm even talking about this is that if shit were to hit the fan, it would be for a number of reasons. If the virus itself were to mutate and become more potent and more easily able to transmit between humans to humans, that may not be a good thing according to some scientists, because as it stands right now, the case death rate is 50 to 60%. That means that if we know 100 people have the H5N1 virus, 50 or 60 of them die in known cases. Now, the infection death rate is lower. So if 300 people have the virus, but 200 are not showing symptoms and only 50 or 60 die, then that's about 17%. So that kind of lowers it a little bit, which could make folks feel a little bit better. But that's still pretty high. I mean, 10, 15, 17% for even the folks that are not showing symptoms and people that are showing symptoms. If we have a case death rate that can be that high, that's incredibly high. But a lot of science is showing that if this disease is able to mutate itself and to become more effective transmitting humans to humans, that how deadly it is could lower even more. It could drop down to 5, 6, or 7%. So out of 100 people, 5 or 6 were to pass away. That's better, but it's still I mean, that's 5, 6, 7 times more higher than the previous pandemic. And I mean, you can just kind of see what that would mean if we look at the deaths that came from the last one and what could happen with this next one. What I'm trying to say is that if this thing were to develop, I think you got to do things to try to protect your family. Now, how much can you do if it does mutate and go human to human? There's a lot that you can do per se, like right now, work on your immune system, but facilitating ways to reduce human contact is something that you may want to think about. If you have bug out locations that isolate you more, that might be something that you may want to develop. So those type of things are like the only thing that I think I can do right now for my family. I am not about to try to be on the forefront of some crazy preventative medicine or something like that. That's not what I'm worried about. Is that when leadership cares more about keeping things from you or about themselves, sometimes they don't give you the tools that you need to make decisions that could be beneficial to your family. That's why I'm bringing this story up to begin with. So let me be clear. We don't know if this were to ever become more transmissible between humans to humans. If that were to happen, we don't know if the case death rate would drop because of the mutation. If first off, I would hope it doesn't mutate and become stronger human to human. But if it does, I would hope that it mutates and becomes weaker. I would hope that that would happen. But even if it's higher than 3%, 5%, that's still higher than the last one. That's something that concerns me. I follow this type of stuff very closely because yes, I think about the riots. I think about the cases of targeted attacks and natural disasters. But is this something that we can help prevent for your family or at least have knowledge about to decide what's going to be best for you? I think that is very much the case. Listen, first time stopping by, hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you part of the battalion. If this is not your first time stopping by, well, thank you once again for watching me run my grape. What do you think about the first case, not only in the States, but also the death of the first case? It just gives me weird feelings because, the last one was like 1 to 15 cases, and then, but no need for alarm. Just need to keep yourself knowledgeable and inform people. So that's all I got. Let me know what you think down below. I'll let you.